Che buona.
Hello again. We're here to make some more vegan food. So we're going to make Italian peperonata. It's a bit like ratatouille, but we're going to make my version anyway. So we've got garlic, red onion, courgettes, peppers, aubergine and tomatoes. And then we're going to add some basil and some oregano and cook it all in olive oil, and we're going to eat it with risotto made with butternut squash, and I'll come back to that in a minute, but we're going to start with the ratatouille. So we've chopped up all the veg, so I'm going to put the garlic in first. Get that in. Just going to get the garlic to start going a bit golden, sizzling, and then we're going to add the red onion. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt to the onion, brings out the flavour, a bit of pink Himalayan salt, remember. Let that crackle a bit. So the onions are nice and goldenly now, so now we're going to start adding all the other vegetables. So there's the courgette.
How much courgette is that?
It was just one courgette.
One courgette.
And this probably is good enough for 4 people. But you can just multiply the quantities if you've got more. There, the sweet peppers there. 2 of them. Yeah, they're not that as big. And 1 medium aubergine.
1 medium aubergine.
Yeah. A little bit more olive oil in. So we're going to get that going. And over here I've got my tomatoes. It's probably the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes, but we have peeled my cherry tomatoes from the greenhouse. The skins were a bit thick, so we didn't really want thick skin. So there's my tomatoes going in. Put them in.
Homegrown?
Homegrown, yeah. So we're going to put in some salt again. You can adjust the taste later. And some pepper, black pepper. And a few chilli flakes. There we do. Just going to put a few strands of that in. Like that. And I've got a little bit of mini basil here. Little bitty one. It's really cute.
Oh,
that's really fragrant. I'll keep the twigs out.
Yeah. It's the twig grave over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's getting a bit caramelised now. I'm going to add some tomato puree. A good dollop of tomato puree. I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons of sugar. 2 teaspoons. And probably just like a quarter of a pint of water. What you do need is a tight fitting lid for this to simmer. So we're going to do that now. Put the lid on, and we're just going to turn that down and let that simmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down to kind of a medium.
For probably about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this section we're going to make butternut squash risotto. So wash the squash, and we've given it a good scrub, and we're going to cut it into quarters. Put it in a pan with 1 inch of water and brought it to the boil, and simmered it for about 20 minutes until it's tender. And now we're going to cook it. So I've got 1 chopped clove of garlic, 1 onion, and I've got some sage leaves here that I've just picked from the garden. So we're going to make that now. Okay. These are the, oh, take the carrot out. I cooked the carrot.
What's that?
That's my funny carrot from the garden. It was a funny shape. So we've got our butternut squash. So it, what you want to do, bring it to the boil and cook it until it's tender. And then we're going to clean it now. This is quite a sweet one, but you can use any of the butternut squash that you've got. So we're going to take all the rough skin off. So we've got 300 grams of squash to put into the risotto. I've got some sage leaves here, so we're going to put them to flavour the oil. Let them a bit.
I
mean
frizzle. Frizzle. You said
frizzle again. It's one of my favourite new words. Hey, cool. Now that they've flavoured the oil, we're going to remove the sage leaves and we'll be keeping them to one side and then putting them back into the oil later when the risotto's finished. And now we're going to add the garlic and let that flavour the oil. We're just going to check on the peperonata to see if that's cooking nicely. Looks good. Just needs a little bit longer. So we're going to pop the lid back on. And we're going back to our garlic and we're going to add the onions and let that fry off a bit. We'll just add a little bit of salt to flavour the onions, bring out the flavour. So our onions are nice and golden now. We're going to add about 8 ounces, 220 grams of arborio rice or caneroli, any risotto rice. In desperation, you can use pudding rice as well. So what you want it to look is that it's gone a bit glazed like that with the oil. Might just add another little drizzle of olive oil. Then now we're going to put a small glass of white wine in. Want that to kind of evaporate out. And when that's done that, we're going to add the butternut squash. Just going to cut up the squash and then add it into the rice. It doesn't have to be neat or anything because it will just blend into the rice. So we're just kind of mushing it in together. The wine is cooked out and now I've got the stock cube ready in 1.5 pints of 3/4 of a litre of boiling stock. So I'm going to add that bit by bit and keep stirring and just keep adding and stirring, adding and stirring, adding and stirring. For about 20 minutes you do this. The chunks of butternut squash would almost disappear into the mix. So every time it reduces you just add a little bit more stock.
If you know someone who really likes stirring,
invite them over.
Yeah.
It's an amazing golden colour. It's very autumnal. It's proper autumn food, isn't it?
Yeah.
In Italy they call it Zucca Santa, the holy squash. It's not actually pumpkin. Pumpkin that we do here with the Halloween is not as tasty or as sweet as the butternut squash. Okay, so we're going to keep adding, slowly stirring and slowly adding the stock to the rice. We'll just quickly look at the peperonata and give that a stir as well. So there, you see, it's reducing and it's all the flavours emerging. It's good to cook it nice and slowly because you don't. This is not where you have al dente vegetables. This is where you have mushy, kind of sweet, rich vegetables.
Yeah.
And we've cooked it for about 20 minutes, stirring all the time.
Added all the water.
Added all the water. In fact, a couple of drops more. We've also added in the sage leaves that we fried earlier, and they add a lovely flavour. You can eat them, just avoid the stalks. So we're going to switch it off now. I'm going to add a little drizzle of rapeseed oil. It gives a bit of a kind of buttery flavour, I think, to that. So we're just going to put the lid on, we've switched it off, we've added the rapeseed oil and we're just going to let it sit for 5 minutes or so now. And we're going to turn our attention to the peperonata. We're going to adjust the flavour by adding a little bit of extra salt. And we've taken the lid off to just let it reduce a little bit further. So we leave that for another few minutes.
So that was just cooking at the same time?
That was cooking at the same time. It's about 20 minutes,
Yeah.
So we're just going to leave that to reduce a bit, the tomato sauce to reduce. Wait a couple of more minutes and then we'll put it on a dish.
Nice.
So we're just going to dish out a small portion for Nonna. She's going to be our tester for tonight. And so we've got the risotto and the peperonata and we'll see what she thinks. is risotto con la zucca
Oh, yes.
with peperonata.
Wow.
Do you remember la zucca?
Oh, my mama fa sempre.
Yeah.
She.
In fact, I've got a little bit here for you to taste of the boiled one. Yeah.
Oh. What is it?
Assaggia.
What is this?
La zucca, la zucca.
Oh. Che buona.
Che
Where
buona.
do you buy this?
I bought it in Sainsbury's. But I made the risotto with that.
Che bontà.
Che bontà. Che bontà. Buon appetito.
Grazie maledetto. Mi dato.
Ciao.
Okay, ciao. What's that?